Some generations learn to ask for help. This one learned something else. Stop waiting. You can see it in small, quiet ways. Who still comes to work sick? Who fixes problems without mentioning them? Who assumes that if something needs to get done, they're the only reliable option? The common story is simple. Gen X is independent because they wanted to be. Self-reliant, skeptical, tough. As if this was a personality choice. Psychologically, it wasn't. Most people from this generation didn't become independent by preference. They became independent by pattern. They grew up during a stretch of time when systems felt unstable, and when adults were often stretched thin. Not always gone, but distracted, exhausted, emotionally unavailable, or simply not there at the moment that mattered. So the nervous system adjusted, not with rebellion, not with drama, with a quieter rule. If I handle it myself, I won't be disappointed. If I don't expect much, I won't be let down. If I stay functional, I stay safe. That isn't a personality trait. That's a survival strategy. You can see this clearly in modern American work culture. There's a certain employee who never escalates problems. They don't complain. They don't wait for resources. They don't assume support will arrive on time. They just absorb the pressure, fix what they can, work around what they can't, and keep moving. Managers love them. They're dependable, low maintenance. They don't create noise. But that calm isn't coming from trust. It's coming from the expectation that backup is unreliable. They don't believe the system will catch them, so they become the system. This is what happens when the brain learns that support is inconsistent. The brain's first job isn't happiness. It isn't fulfillment. It's safety. When help is unpredictable, the brain stops signaling for it, not because connection isn't wanted, but because expecting it starts to feel risky. So the strategy shifts. The question stops being, who can I rely on? And becomes, how do I make sure I'm not stuck if no one shows up? Here's where a subtle bias forms. The brain starts to overvalue self-reliance, not because it's always better, but because it's predictable, and predictability feels like safety. Over time, this turns into a reflex. You take pride in not needing much. You downplay your own needs. You keep expectations low, not as a belief system, as muscle memory. From the outside, it looks like strength. From the inside, it often feels like quiet vigilance. Always scanning, always prepared to handle things alone, always assuming delays, drop-offs, and disappointments are normal. This is why many people from this generation don't describe their childhood as dramatic. They describe it as fine. They had food, they had a home, they had freedom. What they often didn't have was consistent emotional presence. And the brain doesn't store that as a story. It stores it as a pattern that says, don't lean too hard, don't wait too long, don't assume someone else will catch this. So over time, expectation itself starts to feel naive, not wrong, just risky. Here's the quiet cost. When you stop expecting people to show up, you also stop giving them real chances to. Not because you're cold, but because you've learned to design your life so it doesn't require it. You become efficient, capable, low drama, and slightly alone in your problem solving. You might notice this in relationships. You don't ask for much. You don't demand reassurance. You don't create big emotional scenes. But you also don't fully relax into being supported. Part of you is always ready to take the wheel back. Not because you don't care, but because, somewhere along the way, your brain learned that waiting feels like exposure. So you move first. You fix first. You carry it first. This isn't a flaw. It's an adaptation that worked. It kept things stable. It kept disappointment manageable. It kept you moving. But what works in one environment doesn't always serve you in another. Here's a question worth sitting with. In your life today, how many things do you handle alone? Not because you have to, but because expecting help still feels unsafe. Not inconvenient, not inefficient, unsafe. That distinction matters, because the shift isn't depend on people more. Nervous systems don't change that way. The subtler shift is this. Notice one place where you automatically think, I'll just take care of it myself, and pause there. Not to force vulnerability, not to make a statement, just to leave a little space before you close the loop alone. Sometimes the most sophisticated change isn't asking for more, it's noticing how quickly you stop yourself from expecting anything. Gen X isn't the generation that didn't care. It's the generation that learned to function without guarantees. That isn't coldness, that's conditioning. And once you see it that way, the story gets quieter and more honest. You don't need to rewrite who you are. You just need to notice which parts of your independence were built for a world that no longer exists, and which parts you're still carrying because they once kept you safe.